Let's go ahead and talk about the October 10th, 2025 episode of Friday Night SmackDown, where they're live in Perth, Australia tonight. Now, this is a taped episode, Friday Night SmackDown, from earlier today, because they are in Perth, and they got Crown Jewel tomorrow. So, yeah. But let's go ahead and talk about Friday Night SmackDown. Now, we kick off the show with the first segment of the night, where we see the undisputed WWE Champion, Cody Rhodes. He comes out there and he was talking about how he got that match against Seth Rollins tomorrow morning, actually, at Crown Jewel. So yeah, that's what Cody Rhodes was saying there. But then he says that Seth Rollins is pretty much in his head about wanting to be the QB, wanting to be the quarterback of the WWE. And he says that, Cody Rhodes himself, he's the quarterback of the WWE, and that WWE assembled a great team and all that. And so many others can be the quarterback, such as Randy Orton, CM Punk, Jey Uso, and even Seth Rollins. So yeah, that's what he was saying there. But then the fan starts chanting something. So then Cody looks at Michael Cole and he asks Michael Cole, can you see what they're chanting? So he passes the mic over to him, but then Michael Cole passes over the mic to Wade Barrett, and then Wade Barrett says that the fans are chanting Seth Rollins is a wanker. So yeah, that's what Wade Barrett says there. And Cody Rhodes starts laughing and all that stuff, but then Cody was talking about how, that he got 3 wins over Seth and all that, and how he'll beat Seth Rollins again tomorrow night. So yeah, that's what Cody Rhodes says there, sending a message out to the World Heavyweight Champion right there. But yeah, that's what happened there. Pretty good segment. But then after that segment, we see the WWE Women's World Champion Stephanie Vaquer walking around backstage. Chelsea Green comes running up to her, but then Chelsea Green was trying to get Stephanie to pretty much be a security guard, and Stephanie ain't going to be doing that. And then Chelsea Green runs off after the WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton comes up, and then Stephanie Vaquer was telling Tiffany that she trusts her and that she believes her and that they'll be on the same page tonight. But then she says that tomorrow night it'll be a totally different game. So yeah, that's what Stephanie was telling Tiffany there. But yeah, there's still a lot more stuff to come later on tonight on SmackDown. We're going to be seeing Damian Priest versus Aleister Black in a last man standing match later on tonight on SmackDown. Not only that, we're going to be seeing the Street Profits taking on the Wyatt Six for the WWE Tag Team Championships. But up next, we're going to be seeing Sami Zayn delivering his U.S. Open Challenge for the United States Championship up next on Friday Night SmackDown. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing to happen on Friday Night SmackDown, before we talk about the first match of the night, we got to talk about a backstage segment. So yeah, we see Cody Rhodes running into Jacob Fatu backstage, and Jacob Fatu was talking about, how Cody Rhodes got a lot on his plate and everything with Seth Rollins, but then he tells him that after he's through with that business, he got some business with Cody Rhodes next, and he starts staring at the WWE Championship. So yeah, it looks like Jacob Fatu is going after the WWE Championship, and Cody Rhodes looks at him and he says, good, and then he walks away. And then we see the SmackDown General Manager, Nick Aldis, coming up, and Nick Aldis wants to talk to Jacob Fatu in his office because he says that Jacob has been doing pretty well for himself, and then Nick Aldis walks away. But then we see Drew McIntyre coming up from behind, attacking Jacob Fatu, beating him down, throwing him into the crates and everything, laying out Jacob Fatu, and then referees and all that had pulled Drew McIntyre away. So yeah, that's what happened there. Crazy stuff going on backstage. But then after that, we get to the first match of the night. It was the United States Champion Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura one-on-one for the United States Championship. This is Sami Zayn's U.S. Open Challenge, and Shinsuke Nakamura answers that U.S. Open Challenge, and we see Shinsuke Nakamura coming out there with his old theme song, and yeah, he's back to how he was before, and he comes out there and we get to the match. And this match, it was a really good one. It was back and forth and everything between Sami and Nakamura. It was back and forth. We see Nakamura hitting a Kinshasa to the back of the head onto Sami, knocking him out of the ring. Shinsuke was trying to pick up Sami and everything, but then Sami manages to hit the Helluva Kick onto Nakamura at the barricade and everything, and they almost got counted out and all that stuff, but then they made it back into the ring. We see Nakamura hit the Kinshasa once again onto Sami. He pins him, but then Sami puts a swell on the bottom rope, getting a 2 count out of that, and then Nakamura goes to the corner, setting up for the Kinshasa once again on a Sami, but then he gets drugged out of the ring and then thrown over the barricade by someone wearing a hoodie, and then they take off the hoodie, and it was the return of Tama Tonga. He comes out there, he's wearing the face paint and everything, and then we see Talatunga, we see Tongaloa, and we see JC Mateo all wearing the face paint. They get into the ring, they start attacking Sami Zayn, and then Shinsuke Nakamura was trying to get into the ring as well, but he starts getting beat down as well, and yeah, both guys gets laid out by the MFTs, and then we see Solo Sikoa coming out there, standing over Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura while they're laid out. So yeah, that's what happened there with Tama Tonga returning, and yeah, the MFTs looking dangerous, laying out Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura. But yeah, that match ended in a disqualification. I guess is a no contest really. But yeah, for the match lap after the match, I'll give it all 3.5 stars as well. I'll give it was a pretty good match for the most part between Sami and Shinsuke, and then what happened after the match. So yeah, that's what I'll give it. But yeah, still a lot more stuff to come later on tonight on SmackDown. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing to happen on Friday Night SmackDown, we get to the next match of the night. But before we talk about that match, we got to talk about a backstage segment. So yeah, we see this SmackDown general manager, Nick Aldis, going up to Drew McIntyre, talking to him backstage about Drew McIntyre attacking Jacob Fatu, and then Nick Aldis makes a match for next week on SmackDown where it'll be Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu one-on-one. So yeah, that match is now made official, and then we see Jacob Fatu coming up attacking Drew McIntyre, beating him down and all that up until security pulled him off. So yeah, that's what happened there with Jacob Fatu attacking McIntyre backstage. But then, after that, we get to the next match of the night. It was the WWE Women's World Champion Stephanie Vaquer and the WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton versus the WWE Women's United States Champion Julia and Kiana James in a tag team match tonight on SmackDown. This match, it was a pretty good one. It was back and forth and everything, and we see at the ending Stephanie picking up Kiana James for like an angel's wings into like a code breaker type move onto Kiana James. But then Stephanie tags in Tiffany, and then we see Stephanie jumping off the top turnbuckle with a crossbody on Julia outside the ring, taking her out. And then we see Tiffany picking up Kiana James up on her shoulders, hitting a senton onto her, and then she hits the prettiest moonsault ever onto Kiana James, pinning her for the 3 count. So yeah, Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie Vaquer defeated Julia and Kiana James tonight in a tag team match. That's why I've been there. Pretty decent tag team match. For that match, I'll give it 2.5 stars as well. I'll give it. But yeah, they picked up the win over Julia and Kiana James tonight. But then after that match ended, we see backstage Zarya and the NXT Women's North America Champion Ruka talking backstage, and they was talking about the Women's Tag Team Championships and all that stuff. But then we see the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss coming up, and they was talking about how pretty much they got to get in line and everything, and they was talking about how they've been doing pretty well, Zarya and Ruka has, but then they said that they ain't gonna do any well when they come up against Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair in a tag match. So yeah, that's what he was saying there. And then Ruka and Zarya was talking about opportunities and everything, because they was talking about how Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair got opportunities from people and they want opportunity as well. And then Zarya starts calling them scared, and then pretty much they gave in, giving them a tag title match. So yeah, that's what happened there. But yeah, pretty decent segment backstage right there. But up next, it will be the Street Profits versus the YS6 for the WWE Tag Team Championships up next on SmackDown. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing to happen on Friday Night SmackDown, we get to the next match of the night. It was the WWE Tag Team Champions Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy with Eric Rowan and Nikki Cross, the YS6. Uncle Howdy was not there tonight. Versus Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford with B-Fab at ringside. The Street Profits in a tag team match for the WWE Tag Team Championships, and the Street Profits come out there once again with their old theme song. Hopefully they keep it this time, because it's like the 3rd time that they got a spot back. And yeah, we get to this match, and this match, it was a pretty good one. It was back and forth and everything. At one point, we actually see Nikki Cross try to interfere in this match and all that stuff, trying to cost the Profits the tag team titles. But then we see B-Fab coming up, and B-Fab pretty much takes out Nikki Cross, and then we see Eric Rowan popping up from behind from B-Fab, and then that's when we see Montez Ford taking out Eric Rowan with a front flip senton onto him. Nikki Cross takes out B-Fab outside of the ring, and then we see Angelo Dawkins hitting the spinebuster onto Joe Gacy inside the ring. He tags in Ford, and then we see Dawkins taking out Eric Rowan with a front flip senton over the top rope onto him. And then we see Ford jumping off the top turnbuckle with a frog splash, but he misses, hitting the mat and everything because Dexter Lumis drags Joe Gacy out of the way. And then that's when the Y6 hit their tag team finishing move, the Plague, onto Montez Ford, pinning him for the 1, 2, 3. So yeah, the Y6 defeated the Street Profits tonight in a tag team match to retain the WWE Tag Team Championships. That's what happened there. A pretty good match. But then after the match ended, we see the Y6 celebrating, and then behind them we see the MFTs from behind. We see Tamatonga, Tongaloa, Talatonga, and JC Mateo getting into the ring, staring face-to-face with the Y6. And then we see Solo Sikoa getting in the ring as well, and he's staring down the Y6, getting in Nikki Cross's face and all that stuff. So yeah, it looks like they're sending a message out to go after the tag team titles pretty soon. But yeah, that's what happened there. Pretty good tag team match for that match, and what happened after the match, I'll give it all 3 stars. That's why I'll give that one. Pretty good stuff. But then, after that, we get to a backstage segment where we see Kathy Kelly interviewing The Miz backstage, and The Miz was talking about how he had to drop Carmelo Hayes and everything because Melo didn't appreciate him and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what he was saying. He says that he'll take him out, and he tells Melo, pretty much sending a message out to him, telling him that he missed. So yeah, that's what he tells him, and then he's all upset at Kathy Kelly because she didn't wish him a happy birthday. So yeah, that's what happened there, and Miz walks off. But up next, it'll be the main event. It'll be Damian Priest versus Aleister Black, one-on-one in a last man standing match. Up next on Friday Night SmackDown. So yeah, that's the main event, and it is up next. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing to happen on Friday Night SmackDown, we get to the main event of tonight's episode where we see Damian Priest versus Aleister Black in a last man standing match in the main event of tonight's episode, Friday Night SmackDown. So yeah, we get to this match. In this match, it was a pretty good one. It was back and forth and everything. They used a bunch of weapons, kendo sticks, steel chairs, steel steps, and all that stuff. We see Aleister Black jumping off the second turnbuckle with a meteor onto Damian Priest on the steel steps, laying him out at one point. And then they go outside the ring, beating the hell out of each other. Priest chokeslamming Aleister Black on the ring apron. And then he grabs Aleister Black, hitting the Razor's Edge onto Black across the announce table. But then the table never even breaks either. But then Aleister Black barely gets back onto his feet by the count of 9. Priest grabs him again, hitting another Razor's Edge across the announce table again. Again, the table never breaks, and then Aleister Black barely makes it back to his feet by the count of 9 once again, and then both of them starts brawling through the crowd and everything, and then we see Priest beating down Aleister Black in the crowd. They go up these crates going at it and everything, and they look like Aleister Black was about to lose to Damian Priest because Damian Priest about to put him through that table. There was a couple of tables right there at the crates and everything while they're on top. And then we see Zelina Vega coming up, pretty much wanting for Damian Priest to stop doing that to Aleister Black and everything, begging him and all that, because in real life they were married and all that stuff, Aleister Black and Zelina Vega. So Zelina Vega's begging Damian Priest, and then like Damian Priest, like he's about to not do it actually. And then Aleister Black tells Zelina Vega to get down. She gets down, and then we see Damian Priest about to grab Black from the throat, and then we see Aleister pretty much throwing a fireball into Damian Priest's face, and then he hits the black mass onto Priest, knocking him off the crates through a table, and then the referee got up to the count of 10 with Aleister Black winning the last man standing match. So yeah, Aleister Black defeated Damian Priest tonight in the last man standing match in the main event of Friday Night SmackDown. That's what happened there, and it looks like Zelina Vega's turning heel. I guess she did turn heel, or about to, I guess. But yeah, she aligned herself with Aleister Black at the end of the show. So yeah, that's what happened there. Pretty good match though. For that match, I'll give it 4 stars as well. It was a pretty good one. And with Aleister Black and Zelina Vega aligning themselves and everything, that was a pretty cool ending. I would say that was match of the night right there. But yeah, for tonight's episode, Friday Night SmackDown, I'll give it 8.5 stars. That's what I'll give it. It was a pretty good show for what happened with Zelina Vega and Aleister Black at the ending, to the MFTs coming out there, returning and all that stuff, and all that. Yeah, I give it 8.5 stars. That's why I give it a pretty good show, actually. But yeah, that's been my Friday Night SmackDown, October 10th, 2025 reviews. Like, subscribe to Team W Wrestling on YouTube, subscribe to my other channel, Word of Chris, and subscribe to this channel, Chris McDaniels, and follow me on all my social media accounts. They'll be down there in the description box. And I'll see you guys later for tomorrow night's Crown Jewel reviews. See you guys later. Until then.